My name is Mason Rowan, and I'm 26 years old. 2 weeks ago, I was a mechanic working in a dusty garage on the edge of Los Angeles. It wasn't a dream job, but it paid my rent and helped me send money back home to Arizona, where my mom's heart condition kept getting worse, and my 2 younger brothers were trying to get through community college. Then one morning my boss called me into his office. He handed me my last paycheck and told me the shop was downsizing. No anger, no warning. Just a quiet pat on the shoulder and a door shutting behind me. I walked out with my toolbox in one hand and a pressure in my chest that made it hard to breathe. I didn't have savings. I didn't have a backup plan. My family depended on me, and I had no time to fall apart. So when a recruiter called out of nowhere, offering a live-in assistant job, I didn't ask questions. He said the pay was double what I made at the garage. He said it came with room and board. He said it was urgent. I said yes. The address led me to a massive gated estate in Beverly Hills, the kind of place where even the air felt expensive. My beat-up truck looked ridiculous, parked beside a sleek black SUV in the driveway. A housekeeper named Maria met me at the door. She handed me a clipboard with a schedule and walked me through the long hallway. The place was spotless, marble floors, giant windows, and cold, perfect furniture that didn't look like anyone had ever touched it. "She's in the living room," Maria said. "She's particular. Stick to the schedule." Then she left me alone. I stepped into the living room and saw her. Elena Ashford. She sat in a high-tech wheelchair near the window, a book open on her lap. She looked up at me with sharp eyes that made me feel like she was checking my worth in 5 seconds. She was younger than I expected, maybe 30 or 31. Dark hair tied back, strong features, a kind of presence that filled the room even without moving. "You must be the new one," she said, almost like she was bored. "What's your name?" "Mason," I answered. "Mason Rowan." She gave a small nod. "Another one." "Let's see how long you last." The recruiter hadn't told me much, but I had searched her name online the night before. She was a brilliant venture capitalist before a car accident 2 years ago left her paralyzed from the waist down. Since then, most people in her life had slowly stepped away. She closed her book and stared at me, her voice steady and sharp. "You won't last a week living with me." I didn't look away. "I'm not leaving," I said. "Not unless you fire me." Something flickered in her eyes. Not softness, not yet, but something different, something unsure. The first day was rough. She asked for water, then knocked the glass off the table on purpose just to watch me clean it up. She criticized everything from how I prepared her food to how I positioned her wheelchair. When I helped her move to the therapy mat, she snapped that I was doing it wrong, that I didn't know anything, that I should quit. By evening, she spilled her medication bottle across the floor, pills rolling everywhere, and scolded me for taking too long to pick them up. "You're just like the others," she said. "You'll leave." I picked up the last pill, stood, and looked at her calmly. "If you want me gone, fire me," I said. "Otherwise, I'm here." For a moment, she froze, like she didn't know how to handle someone who wasn't walking away. She didn't fire me. And as I went to my room that night, my muscles aching and my mind tired, I felt something strange under the frustration. A pull. A feeling that this job wasn't just a job. It was the beginning of something neither of us understood yet. The next morning, I woke before my alarm. Maybe it was the uncomfortable mattress. Or maybe it was the nagging thought that Elena might call for help at any second. Either way, I was already on my feet when the schedule said to start. When I stepped into the kitchen, she was already there. Her wheelchair was angled toward the counter, arms crossed, eyes focused on the coffee maker like it had personally offended her. She didn't look at me when she spoke. "You're late," quote. I checked the clock. It was 7:02. "My bad," I said quietly. "I'll be faster tomorrow." She didn't say anything, which somehow felt worse than when she snapped yesterday. I brewed her coffee, but the moment she took a sip, she set the cup down with a sharp tap. "Too weak." I made another. She took another sip. "Too strong." I tried again. She didn't comment. Not good, not bad, just drank it in silence. That silence told me I'd passed to the first test of the day. The second one hit during therapy. The sun poured through the tall windows, filling the room with light that made the equipment shine like metal warnings. I guided her arms through stretches, slow and steady, just like the notes in her file explained. "You're pushing too far," she snapped. I eased up. "Now you're not pushing at all." I met her glare. "Tell me the exact pressure you want, and I'll match it." She blinked once, surprised I didn't back down. "Medium pressure." "Got it." For the next hour, she tried everything she could to throw me off. Sharp comments, small jabs, long stares meant to intimidate me. None of it worked. I stayed steady, quiet, present. By the afternoon, something changed. She didn't insult the lunch I made. She didn't criticize how I positioned her chair. She didn't try to knock anything over. But she also didn't talk. It wasn't anger this time. It was something else. Like she was studying me the same way a mechanic studies an engine that shouldn't be running but somehow is. Halfway through the evening, I went to check her meds. When I stepped into her room, she wasn't reading or scrolling through her phone. She was just staring out the window. "You ever think," she said suddenly, "that some people aren't meant to be helped?" I froze in the doorway. Her voice was soft, tired, not sharp like usual. Her hands rested in her lap, fingers twisting together like she was trying to hold herself still. "I think," I said slowly, "some people just don't believe they deserve help." She didn't look at me, but I saw her shoulders rise and fall in a slow breath. "You talk like you know something about that," she murmured. "I do." I moved closer, adjusting a blanket that had slipped from her lap. My hands brushed the edge of her chair, slow and steady, not wanting to push too far. "People leave," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "They always leave." "Then fire me," I said gently, "because I'm not leaving on my own." Her eyes lifted to mine, and for the first time since I'd arrived, she didn't look angry or annoyed. She looked scared. Not of me, but of what she might start to feel if she allowed someone to stay. That night, after I wheeled her to her room, she paused before I turned off the light. "Mason," she said quietly, "why did you take this job?" I didn't look away. "Because I needed it. And maybe because someone out there needed me too." Her lips parted just slightly, like she wanted to say something, but the words didn't come. Instead, she nodded once. A small nod. A real one. When I lay down later, the house was quiet but not empty. Not like yesterday. Something about the air felt different. Warmer, maybe, or just less cold. I was starting to see past her walls. And I had the strange feeling she was starting to see past mine. By the time the third week rolled around, the house didn't feel like the same cold place I'd walked into that first day. It was still huge and quiet, but not empty. Not untouched. There were little signs of change everywhere. Cups left on the counter, books open on the table, windows cracked open to let in the warm breeze. And Elena, she was changing too. She still gave orders, still had sharp edges, still carried her walls like armor. But something softer appeared beneath that hard surface. I'd catch her watching me when she thought I wasn't looking. She'd clear her throat whenever she almost said thank you. And some mornings, she waited for me in the kitchen, coffee mug ready, even though she insisted she didn't need anyone. I didn't push. I didn't bring it up. I just showed up, every day, without fail. One night, things shifted in a way neither of us expected. It was almost midnight. I was in the living room flipping through a magazine, too wired to sleep. The house was quiet except for the faint hum of the air vents. Then the buzzer on the wall lit up. A sharp, urgent call from her room. I didn't hesitate. I ran. When I opened her door, the lamp was on. Elena was sitting up in bed, her face pale, her hands gripping the blanket. Sweat covered her forehead, and her breathing was fast and uneven. "It's starting again," she whispered. "The nerve pain. It's bad." I moved quickly, grabbed the medication from the drawer, poured water, brought the damp cloth from her bathroom. Her body trembled as the pain hit in waves, like electricity running through nerves that no longer followed the rules. She clenched her jaw so hard I thought she'd break a tooth. "Breathe with me," I said softly, sitting beside her. "Just breathe." The flare lasted nearly 40 minutes. Every few minutes, her muscles tensed, her back arching from a pain she couldn't stop. I kept one hand on her shoulder, grounding her, making sure she didn't fall sideways or choke. She murmured my name once, quiet, broken. Mason. Not like an order. Like she was holding on to me so she didn't drown. When it finally ended, she sagged against the pillows, exhausted. Her breathing slowed, her eyes glassy with leftover fear. I adjusted the blankets around her and wiped her forehead again. For a moment, she just stared at me, really stared, like she was seeing me for the first time. Then she whispered, "Why do you stay?" Quote, I didn't answer right away. I set the cloth back on the nightstand, sat down again, and met her eyes. "Because I know what it feels like to be left when you need someone the most," I said. "And I won't do that to you." Something in her face opened. Something fragile. She swallowed hard. "Everyone leaves." "Not me." She didn't argue. Not this time. That night changed everything. The next few days were different. She didn't push me away as hard. She didn't snap at every tiny mistake. She even asked questions about my family, my brothers, my mom's health. And when I answered, she actually listened. One afternoon during therapy, she pushed herself harder than I'd ever seen. She gripped the parallel bars, sweat running down her brow, determination burning in her eyes. "Let go," she said. I blinked. "Elena, you're not ready to stand on your own yet." "Let go." So I did, slowly, ready to catch her if she slipped. She pulled herself up with her arms, locking her braces, body shaking with the effort. She wasn't standing straight, not even close. But she was up, on her own strength, even if just for a moment. She held it. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Her face broke into something small and bright. "I did it," she whispered. "Yeah," I said quietly. "You did." She sank back into her chair, breathing hard, but she didn't hide her smile this time. It wasn't big, it wasn't loud, but it was real. Later that evening, after dinner, she lingered at the table instead of wheeling away. The candles flickered between us. The house around us felt unusually warm. "Mason," she said, her voice low, almost unsure. "What if I never walk again? What then?" I leaned forward, resting my arms on the table. "Then you still won't be facing it alone." Her eyes softened, slowly, carefully, like she was afraid any sudden move might break the moment. She didn't look away when I reached across the table. Her hand met mine. This time, she didn't pull back. And I knew right then. She wasn't testing me anymore. She was letting me in. Even if she didn't say it out loud. By the start of the 4th month, the mansion didn't feel like a workplace anymore. It felt lived in. Real. There were soft blankets draped over chairs, music playing low in the evenings, half-finished puzzles on the dining table, and the faint smell of her lavender diffuser drifting through the halls. The space had changed because she had changed. And somehow, without meaning to, I had changed too. Every morning, Elena was already awake before I entered the therapy room. She warmed up on her own, rolling her shoulders, moving her arms through the stretches she once refused to do. She'd catch me watching sometimes and smirk just a little, like she wasn't sure how to accept the fact that she had become strong again. One bright afternoon, she asked me to meet her outside on the back veranda. The sunlight spilled across the stone tiles, lighting up the hills behind the house. She wore a loose sweater and a soft look I didn't see often, one that told me whatever she wanted to say mattered. "I've been working on something," she said. She opened her laptop and showed me a digital presentation, folders of plans, budgets, designs. "It's called Second Chance," she said. "A program for people like me, people who need help getting their lives back." I looked at her, impressed. "You're starting this?" Quote, "Yes," she said, folding her hands, "but I need someone by my side, someone steady, someone who won't vanish the moment things get difficult." Her eyes met mine, and for a moment I forgot to breathe. She wasn't talking about a job. She wasn't talking about therapy. She was talking about us. "I want you as my partner in this," she said quietly, "not as an employee. As someone who believes in me." My heart kicked hard in my chest. Not because I was surprised, but because hearing her say it out loud made something settle deep inside me. "Then I'm in," I told her. "Whatever you build, I'll build it with you." Her lips parted, softening into a smile so full of relief and hope I felt it in my bones. That evening, after the team for Second Chance left the house, we stayed behind in the quiet dining room. Only a few candles lit the space, casting warm shadows across the table. She lingered, staring at the flickering light for a long time before she spoke again. "Your contract is up." I looked up. "Yeah, I know." Her fingers brushed the rim of her cup. "I stopped paying you last week." I blinked, surprised. "You what?" She hesitated. "I wanted to see if you'd stay without the money." My breath caught, not because I was insulted, because I suddenly understood how terrified she was of being abandoned again. "So," she said softly, eyes locked on mine, "if this isn't a job anymore, why are you still here?" I pushed back my chair and moved closer, sitting right across from her so she couldn't turn away. "Because," I said, voice steady, "I'm not staying for the paycheck. I'm staying because I care about you, because I want to be part of your life, and because you taught me I don't have to fight every battle alone." Slowly, carefully, she reached out. Her hand brushed mine. "You don't love me because you feel sorry for me?" she whispered. I shook my head. "I love you because you're strong, stubborn, brilliant, and because you let me see the parts of you no one else gets to see." Her breath trembled. Her fingers curled into mine. And for the first time, there were no walls between us. The weeks that followed felt like stepping into a new world. We worked together on Second Chance, meetings, planning, calls, long nights going through proposals while she leaned against me in her chair, her arm brushing mine. Her confidence returned piece by piece, her joy rising like something she'd locked away years ago. And every evening when the house quieted down, she found her way to my side, on the couch, in the kitchen, on the veranda watching the sunset. She wasn't afraid anymore. One night, after everyone had left, I found her in the therapy room, standing between the parallel bars, alone, sweating, focused, fighting. I rushed toward her, but she shook her head. "No, stay there. Just watch." She pulled herself up, braces locked, arms straining, and stood tall, taller than she had since the accident. Her breaths came fast, but she didn't look away from me. "I'm not broken," she said softly. "I know," I whispered. "And I don't need someone to save me." "I know," I said again. Her voice lowered. "I just need someone who stays." Quote. I stepped closer then, close enough to hold her, but not touching until she nodded. When I wrapped my arms around her waist, she didn't shake or pull away. She leaned into me, fully, trustingly, like she finally understood she didn't have to stand alone. "I'm here," I murmured into her hair. "I always will be." She closed her eyes, her forehead resting against my chest. "Good," she whispered, "because I don't ever want to fire you." I laughed softly. I wasn't planning on letting you. The house around us hummed quietly, warm and alive. And for the first time since I walked through her door, she didn't just let me stay. She wanted me to.